Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am.
We were discussing about different abiotic factors and we completed, which are the abiotic factors that we completed last day, Gayatri?
Temperature and water.
Temperature and water. And what is the difference between stenohaline and euryhaline animals? Lydia, what is the difference between euryhaline and stenohaline animals or stenohaline organisms? Where is Lydia? Yes. Lydia, checking what we learned last class, checking your lecture notes. Why don't you refer it and come? Anthony, what is the difference between stenohaline, euryhaline? Very simple definition.
Euryhaline, they can tolerate a wide range of
Wide range of what? That is important.
salinity.
Whereas stenohaline animals,
Narrow range.
they have narrow range of tolerance for salinity. And Lydia will repeat it.
Euryhaline, they can tolerate wide range of temperature. And
Temperature. Euryhaline,
temperature.
stenohaline. So they have wide range of what tolerance? Tolerance towards what?
Temperature.
No, dear. That is
Temperature.
thermal. I'm asking you the difference between. That means you didn't listen what your friend said. Stenohaline, euryhaline. You were absent last class, so you were present.
Sir.
Then why don't you refer and learn? Meenakshi, I'll make her repeat. You have to say again. Yes.
Stenohaline can tolerate a wide range of salinity, while euryhaline can tolerate only narrow range.
Narrow range of what?
Euryhaline can tolerate wide range of salinity, and stenohaline can tolerate narrow range of salinity.
Yes. Lydia heard? Now repeat.
Euryhaline, they can tolerate only wide range of saline.
Salinity, the salt concentration. Whereas stenohaline, they have?
Only narrow.
They can tolerate range of tolerance towards salinity. And you told me about stenothermal and eurythermal. That is with respect to temperature. Stenohaline and euryhaline with respect to salinity or salt concentration. Now we are moving on to the next abiotic factor, that is light. Let's see how light is influencing living organisms. Yes?
Ma'am, Punya asked whether you could check your WhatsApp.
Punya?
Asked if you could check.
The third abiotic factor is light. Plants need sunlight for photosynthesis. It goes without saying, photo means light. So using light, sunlight, plants are preparing food. And this is a source of food for all living organisms. Small forest plants like herbs and shrubs, they are adapted to photosynthesize optimally even under very low light conditions because they are overshadowed by tall canopied trees. So that is an adaptation found in small forest plants. You know that in forests, herbs, shrubs, trees, different types of plants will be there. And when there are tall canopied, like canopy, hope you know, what is meant by canopy. The upper branches, when they form a cover like such trees are known as canopied trees. So what happens is when tall trees are there, because of their canopy, the plants which are growing beneath, the smaller plants, they won't get sufficient amount of sunlight. So if they can't get enough sunlight, they won't be able to carry out photosynthesis. Hence, they are adapted to carry out photosynthesis optimally even under very low light conditions. Only then they will be able to survive, because most of the time they won't be getting enough sunlight because it is obstructed by the canopy of these tall trees. So they have an adaptation. They are adapted to carry out optimal photosynthesis even under low light conditions. And some of the plants, not some of the plants, majority of the plants, they depend on sunlight for photoperiodism. Photoperiodism is the duration of sunlight which they need to carry out the different activities. We have short day plants, long day plants. So short day plants, they require a less duration of sunlight, whereas long day plants, they need more hours of sunlight. So photoperiod has got a very important role in carrying out the different functions in a plant. For example, the flowering in plants, it is dependent on photoperiodism or photoperiod. Many animals use the diurnal and seasonal variations in light intensity and photoperiod to time or to arrange or to fix their foraging, reproductive and migratory activities. So foraging means they go out to capture their or to find out their food. Then the reproductive, the migratory activities, you know, when usually these organisms migrate, when the habitat where they are surviving, when the conditions are unfavorable, they'll migrate to some other regions where the conditions are better. And on return of favorable conditions in their original habitat, they'll come back to the same place. Okay, so their migration, reproduction, foraging, all those are dependent on, or all those depend on the diurnal and seasonal differences in the light intensity. You know that even during the daytime, so the intensity of light is not the same throughout. It keeps fluctuating depending upon the habitat. There will be diurnal and even seasonal variation. So some season we get plenty of sunlight, and some season the amount of sunlight received will be less. And the intensity, even during the daytime, you know, sometimes it will be the intensity of light is more, sometimes it is less. Late evening, the intensity of light is less. In the noon time, it will be more. So those differences, all that depending upon the seasonal as well as the daily fluctuations or differences in light intensity, and the not only intensity, the duration of light, the time period of this during which they get sunlight. So depending on that, the different activities of the organisms are planned. The different activities like migration, reproduction, foraging, all those are planned, or all those are arranged in accordance with the duration as well as intensity of light which they receive during different times of the day or during different seasons. Sun is the ultimate source for light and temperature. We all know that. It's the ultimate source of energy, you can say. Even you know that we all depend on plants for our food. But if no sun, if no sunlight is there, even plants cannot prepare food. So plants are making use of the solar energy and converting it into chemical energy, which is made available to us. So sun is the ultimate source of energy, or it is the ultimate source of light and temperature on land. Deep in the oceans, that is more than 500 meter, the environment is very dark and no solar energy reaches there. Okay, so in the deep layers of the ocean, it will be dark because there is a photic zone and a photic zone. Photic zone means till where enough sunlight penetrates. That is photic zone, where that means the sunlight cannot penetrate into the ocean floor, into the deeper layers. The light can penetrate only up to certain distance. So deep in the oceans, the environment is very dark and no energy is available. The spectral quality of solar radiation, that is also very important. You know, the spectrum, the solar spectrum, it consists of different or the radiations of different wavelength. So that is also the spectral quality of solar radiation is also very important. The UV spectrum, the ultraviolet radiation, spectrum is harmful to many organisms. You know, we are not an exemption. Like if we are getting exposed to UV rays, or long exposure to UV rays can cause different problems, or it can create different health hazards. Diseases like skin cancer, cataract, etc. can result due to long time exposure to this UV rays. How are we protected from UV rays generally? What protects us from these harmful radiations? Hello?
Ozone layer.
Ozone.
Ozone layer. Okay. The UV spectrum is harmful to many organisms. Not all the color components of the visible spectrum are available for marine plants. So in the visible spectrum, light of different wavelength will be there. But all these are not available to the marine plants. And the reason is light of longer wavelength, for example, red light, cannot reach the deeper layers, to the ocean floor or to the deeper layers. Light of longer wavelength. Okay, children, I was saying about the organisms, the plants surviving in the deeper layers of ocean. As I told you, all the color components of the visible spectrum cannot reach all the different layers in the ocean, or it cannot penetrate till the bottom. And the light of lower wavelength, they cannot reach the lower layers or the deeper layers, whereas blue light is capable of reaching the little more deeper when compared to red light. They can reach or they can penetrate much better than that of red light. And those plants which are surviving, for example, red algae, they are found in the deeper layers of ocean, and they are able to survive there because they can absorb this blue light. So using the blue light, they can survive, they can carry out photosynthesis. So since they are capable of absorbing blue light, which can penetrate into the deeper layers, they are able to survive in such deeper layers. Okay, so that is what is given in the last line. The UV spectrum that already we mentioned, not all the color components of the visible spectrum are available for the marine plants. So only those plants or only those organisms which can manage, or only those plants which have some adaptations to manage with that red light, or those who can, blue light, those which can absorb that blue light and survive, only will be continuing that particular layer. If they can't, they won't be see. That is why the other algae are not found in deeper layers. They are found in the upper layers because they are not able to, they won't be able to survive because they don't have the capacity to absorb blue light. It is because of the special pigments present in red algae, they can absorb blue light and can survive in those layers. Is that clear, children? So once again, we learned about light. Light is very important factor that decides the distribution of organisms. It is very important to carry out photosynthesis by plants, and those plants, smaller plants which are found in the forest, they are adapted or they have adaptations to carry out optimal photosynthesis even under low light conditions, because there in the forest they are usually, or the sunlight is usually obstructed by the canopy of tall trees. So they are able to survive there because they can manage to carry out photosynthesis even under that low light conditions. If they are not able to, they cannot carry it out, they'll get destroyed. And many plants depend on the sunlight for their photoperiodism. So the duration of sunlight which the plants receive, that is also very important, and the different activities or the different processes takes place. Yes. The different processes take place in these plants depending upon the duration of sunlight they receive, and based on the requirement of the duration of sunlight, you can categorize plants into short day plants which require less duration of light, and long day plants which require more amount or more duration of sunlight. Then many animals, they depend on the diurnal and seasonal fluctuations in light intensity as well as duration to manage their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. Sun, you know, it's ultimate source of energy, ultimate source of light and temperature. And in the case of oceans, if you take the case of sea or ocean, the environment will be very dark beyond 500 meters depth. The reason is sunlight cannot penetrate into or penetrate beyond 500 meters, and there is no energy available from the sun. If the sunlight cannot penetrate, that area will be completely dark and no source of energy. And the spectral quality of solar radiation is also very important. And you know the different parts of the visible as well as invisible spectrum in lower classes. You might have learned it in physics. And UV radiation, that is also a part of solar radiation. It is very, it can be highly damaging to living organism if they get regularly exposed to that. And coming to the visible spectrum, all the color components of the visible spectrum are also not available to the marine plants. It depends upon the penetration of different components, different color components. It depends on their wavelength. So according to the wavelength, the penetration takes place. Those color components which are of longer wavelength will not be able to reach the deeper layers. So light color components which are of shorter wavelength only will be able to penetrate deeper layers, and blue light can reach deeper layers, and hence red algae, who is capable of absorbing this particular blue color light because of the special pigment present in them, can survive in the deeper layers. The green algae or the other colored algae you cannot find in deeper layers because only they are capable of absorbing this blue light which penetrates the deeper layers. Hope you have understood. Have you followed? Have you followed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, the next one, next abiotic factor, the fourth and the last one, soil. The nature and properties of soil is differed, or they are different depending upon different factors. The type of soil or the different properties of the soil, the composition, like the water holding capacity, or what else, air space is present. The different properties and the nature of the soil will differ depending upon different factors. First one, climate, weathering process. You know, how is soil formed? How is soil formed? By weathering of rocks. So the weathering process by which it is formed, then the sedimentation, method of soil development. So these are some of the factors: climate, weathering process, sedimentation process, the manner in which the soil gets developed, all are the different factors that decide the nature and properties of soil. Soil composition means the components present in the soil, the size of the grains. All soil, they don't consist of the same sized particles. The size of the grains, the aggregation. Soil aggregation means how the different soil particles are bound together, the binding of different soil particles, that is aggregation, that determine the percolation. Percolation means penetration, like rainwater has to percolate down. If the soil particles are, or the soil aggregation is more, all these are tightly holding, no gap, no airspace in between, then the penetration or percolation of the water particles also will be less. The water holding capacity is also decided by soil composition, grain size, aggregation, etc. You know that in sandy soil, water holding capacity is less because the soil particles are loosely held. So much air spaces are there, but they cannot retain water. Whereas if you take the case of clay soil, the sand particles are small and they are very tightly kept. So there the air spaces are less, but they can retain water. So depending upon the soil composition, grain size, the size of the soil particles, and the binding of soil particles, all these will decide the percolation as well as the water holding capacity of soils. You can see some soil samples over here. I'll repeat again. So we learned about soil, the nature and properties of soil will be different depending upon the climate, the weathering process by which they are formed, sedimentation, method of soil development, etc. And the percolation, the extent to which water can percolate, and the water retention or the water holding capacity of the soil are decided by several factors. The three main factors that decide percolation and water holding capacity are soil composition, grain size, and also aggregation. Aggregation means the binding of soil particles, how well they are bound together. Are they loosely bound or tightly bound? All that decides the percolation as well as the water holding capacity. And here you can see some of the soil samples. These characteristics, so already we mentioned a few characteristics: soil composition, then what are the other two factors? Aggregation, then size of the grains. Apart from that, the other parameters like pH, mineral composition, already we mentioned about soil composition, which includes the minerals too. Then topography. What do you mean by topography? Topography is the study of the shape and features of the land surface. Okay, so other physical features of the land, all that will determine the vegetation and animals found in an area. You know that only if the conditions are favorable and only if the living organisms can adapt to the conditions prevalent over there, they'll be able to survive. And the distribution of plants and animals in an area will be decided by the nature and the properties of soil. So many properties we learn: soil composition, grain size, water holding capacity, aggregation, then pH content, because pH is very important factor. Like different plants are adapted to different pH. Some can survive only in acidic soil. Some needs alkaline soil to thrive well. So some need neutral soil. So that depends. So pH is very important factor. The minerals present. Different minerals are necessary for the proper growth of the plants. So if some minerals are lacking, that can also affect the growth of the plants, and different plants, they have different requirements. Then topography, the other physical features, shape and other features of the land surface, all these will decide the plants and animals in an area. In aquatic environment, the sediment characteristics determine the type of benthic animals. Benthic animals are those animals found living on the ocean floor, like crabs, lobsters are a few examples. So they are found on the ocean floor. So for them, or their distribution depends upon the sediment characteristic, the soil sediments present at the floor of the ocean. So depending upon that, the organisms will be like what type of organisms are found in the ocean floor will depend upon the characteristics of the soil sediments. So soil has got a very important role in deciding the distribution of plants as well as animals. Okay. So the sediment characteristics of the soil will decide the benthic animals. What type of benthic animals are found there? So that depends on the soil. Okay. We already learned about the different abiotic factors. Which are the 4 abiotic factors that we learned, Sania? Which are the 4 abiotic factors that we discussed?
Temperature,
Nia,
water,
Nevin,
light, and soil.
Sania, just a minute. Children, you be regular in the class. 1 class you will attend, 2 classes you will be missing. So you will not get any continuity. If you have some genuine reasons, please leave me a message. Genuine reasons in inverted commas. Okay. For the sake of missing the class or skipping the class, don't come up with excuses. And all the test papers, many were absent for the test paper. And those are recorded. Under internal assessment, we'll be conducting different classes. So many criteria are there. And class test 1, if you have missed, it is missed. So whenever you have a test, do attend it. And if you don't have, if some genuine reasons are there, you can't do away with it, then okay. But if you can postpone it for some time, do that and attend the class. Connectivity issues are there, you can leave me a message. But since we are attending online classes, connectivity issue also, if you what you're saying, we have to believe, we have no other choice. But always remember that towards the end, you are going to be affected. It won't be that easy to cover up all towards the end. So as far as possible, don't miss or skip the classes. I can see many of you, not just 1 class, I can understand. 5 classes you are attending, 1 day you are missing it. I will understand. We know that genuine reasons will be there. But 1 day you are attending, 3 days you won't be seen. And again, 1 day you will come or 2 days you will come, another 5 days you will be missing. I don't know how you're going to manage. I'm not telling everyone is like that, but 1 or 2 are there regularly being absent. Please make a note that we are keeping a proper check on all these. And these names are entered in our register also. So see that at least hereafter, I'm not only telling about my subject or my class, all the classes, all are equally important. So see that you don't skip any classes. Okay, let's continue. We learned about 2 abiotic factors today, light and soil. So summarize the points that we learned. First, we'll begin with light. Evelyn.
Plants require sunlight for photosynthesis.
Plants require sunlight for photosynthesis. Then Vidur. Vidur, it's time to cut your hair. Rijas managed to do it. Okay, tell me. Next point.
The small forest plants are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very low light because they are overshadowed by tall.
Reduce the voice a bit. Now you say, repeat.
Small forest plants are adapted to
Okay. Okay, adapted to?
Photosynthesis in very low light.
Why? Why they need such adaptation?
Because they are overshadowed by tall and...
Because they are shadowed by the tall canopy trees. Then Rijas, next point. Others be
Many
ready.
plants depend upon sunlight for photoperiodism.
Photoperiodism. What is photoperiod? Rijas, what do you mean by photoperiod? Photoperiod. Yes. What is photoperiod? You expand that word, no? Photoperiod. Photo means what? Photo means what? Word meaning.
Light. Sunlight.
Light. Photo means light.
Light.
So, Photo period means what? Period means duration. So what is photo period?
Duration of light.
Duration of light or sunlight. Here it is sunlight. Photo word meaning is light. Okay, then Anna,
Sun is the ultimate source of energy for
Okay.
plants.
oh yes, then Anthony,
Deep under the ocean, the sunlight is not available.
yes.
Deep under the ocean, the sunlight.
Deep under the ocean, that what to say, the distance also was, the depth also was mentioned.
500 meters.
Beyond 500 meter, light cannot penetrate and no solar energy will be available. And Meenakshi,
Spectral quality of the solar radiation is also important.
is also important, and you learned that UV radiation can be very damaging. And one more point that we learned, colors of all the color components of the visible spectrum cannot penetrate, is not available, or they are not available to the marine animals. Then what else we learned? Under light, all the points are mentioned, no? Now tell me about soil. Sania got a chance. Naureen, tell me about the next abiotic factor, soil.
The nature and
Nevin,
property.
just turn your video on. It had been long time that I had not seen you so far. Yes, Naureen.
The nature and properties of soil is different due to the climate, weathering process, method of soil development.
Okay. Nevin can tell me the next point.
Soil
Nevin,
composition, grain
what
size,
happened to the
and aggregation.
connectivity, Nevin? You're staying in Vadama, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Ma'am, it's like my cousin has good internet connection, but at my side it's not there. It
Okay.
varies.
Okay. Tell me the point.
Soil composition, grain size, and aggregation are determined the percolation and the water holding capacity of the soils.
Nia? Nia, respond, Nia. Nidhi, Nia, and Nevin, I can see that your videos are turned off. It's not the connectivity issue. You turn it on, and if it is visible, well and good. So we can make out, no? The video icon is, I can see a crows over there. Yes, Nia? Children, what I would suggest is, if you're not ready to turn your video on, there won't be no chance for interaction. So better see the recorded session. No? Why to waste your time and my energy? I'll be calling out your names, no response, wasting others' time. Nia Malavika already messaged me. It is not, she used to turn her video on. What about Nia? Nia, why your video is turned off? You turn it on. Let me check whether it is connectivity issue. I can make out no from here. You turn it on and still I'm not able to see. Agreed. Nia, can you hear me? No response also. No audio, no video. Better not to attend the class. You see the recorded session, children. This is an advice for everyone. Don't waste yours as well as my energy. Yes, who is going to tell me the next point? Donna?
Characteristics like pH, mineral composition, and topography, they determine the vegetation and animals in that area.
Very good, very good. Next, Steffi?
In aquatic animals, aquatic environment, the sediment characteristics determine the benthic animals.
Benthic animals means what, Steffi?
I don't know.
Animals living in the ocean floor. So those which are organisms found at the ocean floor, you call as benthic animals. For example, crabs, lobsters, etc. Okay. So we continue with the, it's time 12:40, no? 4 minutes. Okay. We'll continue next period. So see you next period, children. And those who have to take the seminar, come prepared. Thank you.